Buddy, it's Toni-Maree here, talking a little quietly because I'm in an office waiting for my daughter to finish an appointment, which just goes to show there's no excuses not to do a Facebook Live. And the people who I'm talking to know about this. Cherie. Okay, so getting on to today's coaching topic. It's all about boundaries. Now, I just did a bit of a discussion in my Facebook group, Awesome Heart-Centered Fearless Women, and we talked about boundaries there, and I gave 3 tips there. But I actually want to do a slightly different discussion here about boundaries, because here I want to talk about stress and boundaries. Here I want to talk about how do I de-stress with boundaries. So first of all, let's talk about what is stress. Stress is anything that makes us feel really unsafe, uncertain. Boundaries are rules, habits, rituals, anything that we put around us that basically we use to define ourselves and define almost like a fence around us. What we will do within that fence is one set of boundaries. What we'll do outside of that fence is another. And so a boundary can be lots of different things. It can be, I will say yes today is a great boundary. A not so great boundary is I need to be perfect to be loved. A fabulous boundary is I'm going to be happy today, and setting the intention and doing something about being happy. A not so great boundary is I'm going to sit down, eat anything I like and not do anything today. So it's all about finding out what your boundaries are. So another way to think of them is if you've got a child, a boundary is don't run with scissors, get home by 10 o'clock. If you've got a pet, it's don't, run across the road. It's sit when you're told. All those things. So I'm in an office, folks, so you'll hear noises in the background. And excuse the shaky hand, but I'm using my arm as my sort of guide today. So once you know what your boundaries are, then it's really easy to look at them in relation to stress. Okay, so here's an example. When I was really, really stressed, there were a couple of boundaries that were great, a couple of boundaries that were ugly and really not good for me. So here's a boundary that was really not good for me. I would say yes. I would say yes all of the time. And why did I say yes? Because I was addicted to the stress. I was addicted to all of the endorphins that ran through my body when I had to solve a problem, when I was under huge stress. I loved it. It's an addiction. I was addicted to stress. And so that boundary saying yes really didn't work for me because it just added more and more stress, okay? And it meant that I failed. And I could not succeed. I couldn't possibly succeed saying yes to everything. A boundary that I had that was a good boundary was that I would leave the office and I would not do anything at home. Now, that boundary was a great boundary, but do you reckon it lasted long? No, because if you're saying yes to everything, you can't possibly have that boundary where you don't take work home with you. It just doesn't happen. You end up working through to 11 midnight and then you can't sleep and then you've got to get up and get there early and all the rest of it. So that just adds to the stress, adds to the strain on your body and your emotions and your family and all the rest of it. So how do we get out of this? How do we get out of these boundaries that cause us stress?